What's going on, guys? Welcome back to the channel, or welcome if it's your first time here. If you want to see more skill-based content here on this channel, give the channel a thumbs up. You know, usually I post a lot of news-related content here because that's what seems to get the clicks and the views, because people want to see and hear my opinion about what's going on in the world that's going to affect them. And I don't cover, I don't think anyway, enough actual skills and knowledge in my videos. I've done so in the past, but here recently, because I saw, my analytics, that the videos that get the views are the videos talking about current events, talking about politics, talking about threats and things like that, more than skills. If you post a video showing, a prepping skill like making a snare, making a deadfall, it'll get a couple thousand views, maybe 3,000 or 4,000, depending on the topic. However, if you post a good video about something that's current news, especially some kind of a threat that people see or perceive as a threat, like food shortage, pandemic, whatever, war, that gets all kinds of views because people are curious, want to see what you have to say about that. And that's why a lot of these channels have these clickbait titles to get those views. And that's already here today, guys. But anyway, I decided to try to make a few more. I'm going to still cover the news because that's extremely important to know what's going on. And I have a lot of books on prepping. I have a website about prepping. You can check those out for, a lot of how-to type advice and skills. However, I think it's important to cover some of those skills here on this channel. So today I decided I would cover something I see people doing a lot. And that is using the Glock handguns in a way that wasn't really designed to be used. Now, some people are going to disagree with this, but if you do any research into this, if you take the Glock Armor School, you'll learn this. The Glock handgun with the slide release, this is actually an extended slide release on this one. However, it's still very small. If you look at the factory slide release, it is flat, so it's difficult to actually use that to release the slide. And Glocks were actually made and designed to use the overhand type grip to work that slide and not actually use the slide release. Like I said, this is an extended slide release. You can see that maybe. However, the original factory that comes out with these Glocks are, on most models anyway, besides a tactical model, are flat. Very difficult to work, very difficult to operate that way because they weren't designed to be used in that way. Actually, it was designed to be able to use that to push the slide back and to lock that for cleaning and things like that for inspection. But as far as using that to release the slide, it wasn't really designed to be used that way. The Glock were designed to use the overhand type motion. Now, if something happens to your hand and you can't use both hands, you might be able to use this slide. However, if you've got blood, which if something's wrong with your hand, most likely you've been shot, and you don't have blood and things like that. So I like this sight system here because it gives me more leverage to actually release this with one hand. You can take this and hook this into the belt to slide that, to push that back and let that go to rechamber around after you put a fresh magazine in. You can take this and put it like on your shoe and work this back one-handed. But the Glock wasn't made to be used, with the slide release, and a lot of people still do that, and I see people fumbling with that at the shooting range and things like that. And it's much more, you're going to be under a lot of stress. If someone's shooting at you and you're under a lot of stress, and you've already emptied this magazine, which in this Glock 19 is 15 rounds plus one in the chamber, so that's 16 rounds. If you're having to change magazines, you're in a world of hurt. You're going to be either shot, wounded, or you're going to be in a really hairy situation. You're not going to have time to be trying to figure out little things like this to work this slide. In most cases, there's going to be blood. You might be, it might be wet. So it's going to be more difficult to do that. And like I said, you can get an extended slide release. However, by working this back, if you're right here and you hit this, it goes so far. If you have it like so, and you put another magazine in, and you reach back, you can actually pull this back a little bit further. So you actually get more pressure to chamber that round by grabbing hold of the slide like so and letting that go. You get more pressure, it works, that's the way it's supposed to work. So, practice not using this, practice using overhand motion to rechamber around. Put in a fresh magazine and use the overhand to chamber that round quick. And it's a gross motor skill. It's easy to learn, and it's much more easy to do under stress than trying to fool with this little lever here on the side, this little side release, especially when it comes with the factory Glocks. Unless it's a tactical model like this one here came with, you know, the flat slide release I had to put on there. And something else not to do is not to use the plug to plug this up. The Glock was made to have this here so you could reach in and get hold of the magazine more easily with your thumb here to get a better grip on the magazine and pull that out. The first Glock magazines that came out were all plastic. You know, you had the spring that was it, but it was real lightweight and it was plastic. And those would stick in when they would, you shoot empty, you'd hit the magazine release and it would stay in. You had to actually reach, hit this, in most cases, hit the magazine release and get a hold of the magazine and pull it out by hand. If you put the plugs in these, it comes out. It's more difficult to do that. Your magazine, you know, could get stuck. They got these drop-free magazines now that have a metal insert to make them a little bit more heavy, so it'll actually drop out of the handgun. Usually, I've never had any issue with that. However, you know, it could be muddy, it could be dirty, it could stick in there. If you have, you know, the plug here that looks neat, it's more difficult to get that magazine out by hand. Actually get a hold of that and pull that out to insert a fresh magazine. So there's two things to keep in mind when using the Glock handguns. And like I said, number one, I see a lot of people doing, they're trying to work that lever over here. Even at the shooting range, you know, they are shooting targets that aren't shooting back. Their hands are dry. There's no blood. There's no, you know, if you pour blood off your hand, it's going to be extremely difficult to work that magazine, a slide release. Even this extended slide release is still going to be more difficult, but the original factory Glock slide release comes on most of their handguns is flat and it's more difficult to use. Gross motor skill, overhand, pull all the way back and let that go. Much more quick, it's quick to learn, it's more efficient, it works better, and I think you'll be happy when you start practicing it, because now, you know, it used to be, I would use the slide release also, and I started doing more research, taking classes and things, and learning that the Glock handgun wasn't made to be used with overhand motion. Actually, any semi-automatic handgun is probably better off to be used and re-chambering around with this overhand motion to let that go and chamber that round. Anyway, let me know what you think in the comments below. Do you agree? Do you think you should be fiddling around with this little slide release here when you're being shot at, when you've already expended 16 rounds out of the gun and you're still in danger, you're covered in blood? Do you think it's more better to be doing this or doing this or doing this or doing this? Let me know what you think in the comments below. Like the video, give it a thumbs up. Thanks for watching, and to create more magic, and I'll see you all in the next video, hopefully.